The Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast, sponsored by the Lockdown Defense Sports Network, is our weekly show dedicated to elite advice in standard leagues, PPR, and dynasty leagues. We are not guaranteeing you will win anything by our advice, but if you do, we want our cut. Enjoy the show. Are you tired of losing at fantasy football? Well, have a seat. You come to the right place. You're now tuned into the show where champions are made, where speed meets strategy, elite advice, rapid fire analysis, and winning lineups are provided. It all happens faster than Tyreek Hill's 40 time. So strap in. Let's dominate your draft, crush your matchups, and take a ride all the way to that fantasy goal right here on the Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast. Let's go. So, my heavy hitters and lockdown defenders, welcome to the Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Defense, alongside the real AG, Alex Givens. Good sir, how you doing out there? What's going on, man? Fantasy football is here. We in week 5, man. It's good and bad for your boy, but I see you doing pretty good out there for yourself. So, what's going on in the fantasy football world?
Yeah, we got our ups and we got our downs. Week 4 was a big up for us across the board. I think I went 6 and 3. Didn't do too hot in our redraft league for the show, which I know we'll get into. But right. For myself, it was a good week. For some fantasy managers, players, it was not a great week because we had a continuing theme of just a lot of big names going down, man. So
and who are you telling?
It's like the Wild West out here. It's like
what is it going to look like at the end of the season? Like people dropping like flies. Like this might be unprecedented. Like the amount of people we're losing in regards to the overall.
It's early in, man.
Yeah, it's only 4 weeks of worth of games, and we're losing top 5 picks. Left and right. I mean, it's insanity. It's insanity.
I mean,
I'm hoping that we make it to week 16, 17, 18 healthy at this point. We don't have 30 stringers trying to get us a fantasy championship. It's crazy.
It's been a unique year. Because injuries always happen, obviously. But I feel like, and maybe it's just the recency bias of this year, but I feel like this year especially, a lot of big names have gone down. And a lot of big names have gone down for a long time, if not the whole season.
Right. I think the catastrophic injuries was killing us.
Yes.
I think that's what it is. The ACLs and Achilles. Right. Just the soft tissue stuff in general is just bad. It's bad business. But yeah, man. So we got to persevere. But that's why we're here. That's
yes,
a bar.
Sir.
That's a bar. I just realized that. So that's why we're here to get you right for your fantasy matchups week in and week out. We get all the deets and the details regarding who's hurt, who's going to be a step up, guy who's going to be the next man up, things of that nature. So we won't get it all done for you here on the Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast. Hit that subscribe button as always on the channel to let the YouTube algorithm know we're doing big things out here. We're trying to grow this channel. And we're going to get you right, man. We're going to get you together. Regardless of our luck in certain fantasy leagues, we still here for you. We still here for you. We're holding it down. So, we'll get into our fantasy football weekly as always. So we'll start there. So let's talk about the fantasy football weekly in itself. Before we do all that, we're going to drop this at the beginning of the show versus the end. I'm trying something different here. That's a good one.
Now you have become the master.
Right. Indeed. So if you're looking for any advice, live and direct, we have a fantasy football hotline. You can call in at any point in time to get your fantasy football questions answered. If you want the questions answered live, we can do that for you as well. So drop us a line. The number is 240-249-2220. Once again, 240-249-2220. Drop us a voicemail and we'll give us your questions and we'll either play it live or we'll get it answered directly. Let us know how to get in contact with you if you want to answer it later. But we're there for you to get your fantasy football questions answered live and direct. So it is a hotline number. Give us a call and we'll drop the number as the show goes on. But
every time you read the number, I read it off like Mike Jones in back then.
Right. That's a good one.
Even though it doesn't fit, I try to make it fit. I'm like, how can we do this?
Yeah. Indeed. So yeah, there's a hotline number. Please give us a shout out. Give us a call if you are looking for your fantasy football questions live and direct. But yeah, like I said, we do our fantasy football weekly. We run 2 leagues that's sponsored by the podcast. So we got our redraft league, the Lightning Fast Fantasy Football League, that league, and we got our dynasty league. So give us a quick overview and a recap of what's happening there. We got all our listeners, in those leagues, tuning in each and every week. So we'd like to give them a quick shout out. So starting with the Lightning Fast League, that was an interesting week. Some people are still unbeaten. Some people dropped from the ranks unbeaten. It was a pretty good week. So I eked out a victory against Kurt. Finally, I'm back in 2-2, actually in the hunt now. Shouts out to my team holding it down. He said to get a good victory against Kurt. He's 2-2. I'm 2-2 now. Young RG fell from the ranks of unbeaten. Fell to 5, 104 to 92. So he's now 3-1. DZ, the reigning champ, is still undefeated. He whooped up on Josh. Now, why didn't Josh play like this last week for me? Because he gave me my loss.
Right.
And he come back and lay a stinker the week later. 59 points to 116. So that was interesting in there. You unfortunately fell to Cody by 4. It was a rough one.
I was down bad, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, hey, if there's a moral victory in fantasy football, the dish sheep got one right there,
Right. Yes, indeed. So yes, you 128 to 132. Cody's 500. You 1-3. Cool Cav fell to D-Bev in a large margin, 142 to 83. He's 2-2. D-Bev finally got his first victory, 1-3 now. Coach Mike Dub whooped up on Keith, man. That was brutal.
Playmakers. Finally making plays, baby.
He's back, baby. He had to get off vacation. He was a little bit hung over from vacation. Now he's back. So he's 1-3 now, 146 to 98. So that was a crazy victory for him. So that was interesting. And floating over to the Dynasty League. Now this was I just can't seem to get right here. I'm scoring points. I just can't score enough. Jacob got with me with his Travis Hunter led group, 149 to 120. I'm 0-4. Your Panda played Power Rangers, Drew Dudley, 142 to 112. He got the victory there. He's 2-2. You got a victory over Spice.
Undefeated Spice. I told you I'd take him down. I got the Spice.
Right, well, don't say that too loud. To put on right? Yeah, so you got a victory there, 135 to 132 there. Quick 3-point victory there, like a field goal victory, if you want to use that terminology.
Yeah.
This was, oh my God, you see what the
brothers did? I just realized how close it was.
Dude. Oh my God, 156-72 to 156-42. B Shank took down Riley. That's interesting. Who's older?
B.
B's older? Okay.
Older bro won.
The older bro won? Okay. Yeah, damn, that was close, man.
I just was looking at it like,
yeah, that's same. 0.32. That's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, that's wild. 0.3 points was the victory. Hey. What do you say? No matter if you win by inch or mile, winning is winning, right?
Yeah, dude, I almost had you.
Right.
Almost had me.
Your car.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So S. Rich got a victory, 162 to 154 over Nightmare. The Go Farmer took a whooping to S. Boyles. S. Boyles 164 to 132.
We got to stop S. Boyle, guys.
I know, right? I know. Somebody got to. He's the only undefeated?
League mates in here. We got to take him down, dude.
Somebody got to do it.
He keeps cooking.
Yeah, I know. So let's find out who he's going to play. So we get the standings up. So we'll do week 5 matchup in the standings real quick. So in the redraft league, we got let's bring this up there so everybody can see it. So DZ and 5 are both undefeated, still 4-0. RG's 3-1. I'm 2-2. Cold Cavs 2-2. Cody's 2-2. Kurt's 2-2. Coach Mike Dub 1-3. You 1-3. B Bev and Keith 1-3. And at least everybody got a win in this league.
Most points scored against me, though.
I know, right?
Real poop emoji right by that.
And nothing you can control on your own. It's not like you play defense, but I get it.
Yeah, I know.
I get it. So there's the matchups. The matchups for this week. I got 5. I'm trying to knock down another unbeaten, right? So hopefully I can get the victory against 5 this week. RG's got Kurt. Cody's got Josh. You got DZ.
It's not looking good, man. I love to make a bold Ric Flair type statement right now, but I got a lot of buys this week.
Okay. I see the 22%.
Yeah, that was before I edited my lineup. I don't think it's much better. I give you a real time update.
Okay.
But I went from what's it there 22 to 31%. So
Right. Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So
yeah,
so that's gonna be a rough one for you. Hopefully, any given Sunday, you never know. But DZ's rolling strong so far. So we'll see. D-Bev and Coach Mike Dub play each other. Like Mike Dub got a slight edge in that one by the rankings, and Cool Cat plays Keith. So that should be interesting as well. But so we both got to play unbeaten teams. So we'll see how that fares when we review this next week. We'll be happy or sad. But that number's crazy. That
I
number's
bet I'm
crazy.
gonna be big sad, but hey.
Big sad. That's funny. All right, so let's talk about the Dynasty League here. So S Boys is 4-0. He's the only undefeated team. Like you said, somebody got to take him down. B Shank is 3-1. Spice is 3-1. Nightmare is 2-2. Riley Shank is 2-2. Bow Rangers is 2-2. S Rich is 2-2. You're 2-2. Jacob is 2-2. Pandas is 1-3. Go Farmers 1-3, and I'm bringing up the red 0-4. Oh man, yeah, I know it's rough. So I got to play the Go Farmer this week. I'm slated to win, but I've been slated to win every week but one, and I still haven't gotten a victory. So who knows? Pandas playing Spice. That's a 1-3 versus 3-1. That's gonna be an interesting one. You going against Power Rangers? You're both 500, so somebody gonna get above 500 in this week. S Rich going against B Shank. That's 2-2 versus 3-1. Then we got two 2-2 teams. Nightmare and Riley Shank. They're going against each other, and S Boyle and
Travis
Jacob.
Hunter, baby.
Yeah,
Come on.
Can they do it again? Can they pull upset again? And knock
Come on, Horn.
We waiting on you. Jacob, we're waiting on you. So we'll see how things roll. But that was some good matchup this week. So we'll see how things flow. So we'll review that next week, see how things shake out. But let's talk some fantasy football and talk about some performance. So get into the best performance of the week. So guys that hopefully fared well. And this week again, another odd and unpredictable week, to say the least. I think some things we hit on were good, but some things we just didn't see coming at all. And we'll get into who we think they came out of the clear blue sky. It's one of those WDBE moments when that guy comes back from the backstage with the chair. You don't even know who he is until he hits you with it. That kind of thing. But yeah, the best performance of the week was an interesting list.
Yeah.
So we didn't have Dak Prescott on our big old card in regards to him being quote unquote the lead dog when it comes to fantasy football quarterbacks this week. But he balled out against the Packers where he got 31 points. I think he said he only missed 9 passes. I think he mentioned that yesterday.
It was crazy, like 31 for 40 something. I mean, he was really clean game from Dak.
Gotcha.
Would have thought it would have been Jordan Love rather than him, but hey.
That part. Yeah. So Dak Prescott 31 points. Matthew Stafford in I think they had a last minute victory against the Colts. He came through with 27. Patrick Mahomes get back on the schneid. He back in the business, and I needed that because I got him in 2 leagues. So I needed that all that in a bag of chips with his performance, 27 points. Justin Fields, ironically enough, in a loss, got 27 points in his victory, fantasy victory.
He bust off a pretty nice touchdown run. That'll do it.
That run was sick. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
So in the fantasy football round, he won, but he didn't win it with his team. Obviously, they just lost. And Bo Nix, it's like a Monday night games kind of stole the show. Like they weren't on the list before Monday night, but they just magically popped in the 4 and 5 slot.
Yeah,
they both played on Monday night, and Bo Nix
got the Bengals though.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on. Yeah. You would hope he could at least do that.
I'm just saying. So yeah, so we got Dak Prescott, Matt Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Fields, and Bo Nix. Now, I didn't have Bo Nix or Patrick Mahomes being on this list at all, but yeah, they shocked us all on Monday night. But again, to Alex's point, who they played defensively was probably the problem. Right. Yes, indeed. So running backs, Ashton Jeanty.
Let's go.
Not even the breakout game. He's 2 weeks late from
return to the Michael Myers stance. Bald.
Yeah, right. I wonder did he just say F, what's his name?
Chip Kelly, man.
Did he say F Chip Kelly and I'm gonna do it my way and finally decided to run the ball pretty well?
Yeah, I don't understand why he tried to do that anyways, but from what I've heard from other players, I mean, I don't think there's a single NFL player out there that has anything good to say about Chip Kelly. They either don't say anything or they just rake him through the coals.
Right. Yeah. I'm not gonna sit here act like I'm a fan. So
yeah.
So I get it. I get what they're saying.
Right.
But yeah, so he's 33 points in a loss. Ironically, he 33.5. Former Raider Josh Jacobs with 31. He ran rampant in that Sunday night game. Kenneth Gainwell in I guess you can say reserve duty from Jalen Warren being a late scratch, 31 points in his victory in Bubbling Dublin. And Justice Hill of all people, he got a late garbage time touchdown.
Yeah, very skewed by that.
Yeah, it really is. So was he 28 points? So
Hey.
who had Justice Hill? I mean, unless you're in a deep league of the flex, who had Justice Hill in there on their team?
No one.
Exactly.
I have him in one dynasty league, and that's just because those benches are deep. But no, hell no, I didn't play him. He's just there in case someone else goes down.
And there you go.
He's insurance.
Derrick Henry, right?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So yeah. So then Bijan Robinson, no more workload for him, 28-1 for him. So yeah, I expected Bijan and Josh to be on there, but not Edge, Agency, Gainwell, or Hill. So more shoppers to say the least. That's for sure. But yeah, Alex, take it away, man. Tell us about the wide receivers and tight ends.
Yeah. And I got to give a little praise to Josh Jacobs because he also was sporadically out throughout that game. I remember I messaged you like, yo, I had to step out. Where's Josh Jacobs?
Right.
And so, I mean, to do all that, he didn't even play the full game. That's crazy in and of itself.
That
but yeah,
crazy.
Wide recievers is kind of a little mixed bag. Like some guys we would have expected to ball, continued to ball, and then just some quiet emergers came out into the fold. But Puka continuing to kind of be the stud at wide receiver so far this year with 36 points. I mean, that whole passing attack just seems to roll through him.
Mm-hmm.
George Pickens really picked up the slack for CD being out with 33.4. And I know we kind of talked about that last night, but that's why you make that type of move. Yeah, that Cowboys-Packers game, obviously, if you look at the third guy, produced a lot of gold in terms of the passing attack because Romeo Doubs had 29.8. Big game from him. Amon-Ra St. Brown with 26, and then Drake London with 25. So like I said, you probably anticipate, at least by where you drafted them, that Puka, St. Brown, Drake London, that's kind of a expected output from them. But Doubs and Pickens, you definitely got a pleasant surprise out of their performance in week 4. And then with the tight ends, we definitely at least had a little more of a pop-off on the tight ends this week than we had in prior weeks. If you look at the top scorer was Dallas Goedert with 19.7. So he finally is kind of returning into the fold after being banged up. Ty Warren continuing to be kind of – I almost did it again. Indiana Jones is go-to target in Indy. Kyle Pitts Sr., finally doing something, man. I mean, had a huge game, with 18 points, caught a touchdown. Darren Waller, guy been in a wheelchair all season, pops out and scores 2 tutties with 17.7. And then Jake Ferguson, a guy I know I kind of noted last week, we'll probably see a large influx in targets with CD being out. Mm-hmm. And you saw it there with the 17 points that he produced in week 4. Okay.
Now we'll try not to forget the defense and the kickers this week. We'll try.
I meant to remind you too. Yeah.
Yeah. So keep it going. Tell us about these defenses and these kickers, man.
Yeah. So defenses, we had some pretty big showouts as well. Granted, some of these guys were playing some just total keep it a buck. They ass offenses right now, to quote a certain first overall pick. But yeah, Detroit Lions, they were my perfect defense for the week, and they made me look good with 19 points. I streamed them in a lot of leagues.
Yes, sir.
They are a unit. Jacksonville with 15 against the banged up 49ers. And I know I told you last night, Coach, they're leading the league right now in 13 forced turnovers.
Shocker.
Blows my mind. But they have a sneakily good unit, or they just kind of had some favorable matchups to start the year. Philly's defense continuing to be Philly's defense with 14 points. Obviously elite when your offense has -1 yard in the second half and you still win the game. Houston had a decent showing with 14, Seattle with 11, and the Patriots with 11. So at least had some solid showings from the defenses this week.
Yeah, for sure. And we talk about Jaguars being the the leaders in takeaways, but Seattle is the leading fantasy football defense, period, through 4 weeks. So yeah. And I can really say that proudly now because I did pick them up in waivers in our redraft league. So yeah. So we stepped it up on the defensive side.
And I was noting them from the jump, just with their schedule to start the year was pretty nice.
Right.
I mean, when you got the Saints week 2 or week 3.
Yeah. So, and they didn't disappoint. That's for sure. It didn't disappoint. So that's it. That's it right there. So I got a question.
We'll book that one actually when we get to the replacements.
Yeah, I got a question. Who do you think will be the starting running back in Arizona? Yeah, that's a good one. With James Conner out for the year and Trey Benson on the IR, I mean, my money would be on Manny DeMarcado.
Yeah.
And some people are picking up, if you're in deeper leagues, Michael Carter. Michael Carter's the second string.
I think they use both. Honestly, it's going to be a committee, but DeMarcado already, or however, DeMarcado, however you say it, the big D, that's what we'll call him. But he already made his presence known in the passing attack last week, caught a passing touchdown. So I think he brings a little more upside than Michael Carter does in terms of being the complete back that they may need. So I think he's going to get the opportunities first.
Right. If you're in the PPR league, I'm definitely going at DeMarcado because DeMarcado is not going to be not only run the ball, but he's going to be catching the balls out of the backfield on third down. So I definitely believe that he's going to be a pass catching threat. So he's going to get a receiving threat from you. You can get receiving threat from him as well as rushing yards. So I think he's a complete package in that space. But if you need a deeper flex guy, if you're in a dynasty league or 14, 16-man league, Michael Carter might be a move to pick him up as a second back. That's for sure. All right, so the kickers before we get to the worst list. We got Cairo Santos of all people with 19 with the Chicago Bears. Matt Gay with the Commanders 18. Charleston McLaughlin from Tampa Bay 16. He's been on the list quite a few times.
Yeah.
Jason Myers with 14, and we had a tie for fifth with Jake Bates and Harrison Bucker at both 13 apiece. So that was a good list.
Bucker didn't miss anything this game, so that's good. Yeah, he was on a tear.
Misses.
The wrong kind of tear, but a tear nonetheless.
Indeed. So yes. So those are your fantasy kickers' top performers of the week. So if you had any of those guys in your lineup, I'm sure you did well. Some of those guys like we underscored, we had on our list. So we'll keep that train rolling. All right. So as always, man, you gotta do good things, you gotta do bad things as well. You can't cover all the good and none of the bad. So there's some people that in the list and in the annals of fantasy football just make you feel like
you're killing me, Smalls.
They just feel like you're killing me, and those guys, it's always somebody. It's always one, and guys that you don't expect necessarily to let you down. Sometimes they do. So the most disappointing players of the week were in our top 5 week 4 fantasy worst performance lists are as follows. So we got Trevor Lawrence, ironically, in a victory with 11-7. Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers entirety crapped the bed, and he's had 10-3. Cam Ward has been on this list way too much to be a number 1 overall pick.
I don't think he's had double-digit points yet in a game. Man.
Yeah, you might be right. I might fact check that, but that's a good one. He might not have.
I'm going to go look.
Yeah, shameful to say, but you might be right because it's been brutal. It's been brutal to say the least. But yeah,
once.
So he's one
against Indy. He scored 12 in week 3.
But that's bad for a quarterback.
Yeah, that's not great. No,
not good. Not good at all. So so Cam Ward 5.5. Jake Browning of all people, God, I wish they trade for a quarterback. It's just pathetic at this point, right? Seriously, he's not the guy. He's not the guy. And
one of us spent a lot of fab on.
They did.
But hey.
And I'll say that it was the person that plays offense in college.
Yeah, hey.
Take that for what you will.
Yeah.
One guy on this podcast played defense, one guy played offense.
I could not tell you who they're. I feel like we looked this up and it was who? Here, I could tell you real fast. Let me just
Skylar Thompson or somebody like that. Stuart Little.
Yeah, Stuart Little. It's Chad Powers. Brett Rypien.
Who?
I know he's been. I know he was on the Broncos. I think wasn't he on the Chargers for a little bit?
Who?
Rypien.
Brett Rypien?
Rypien, yeah.
Oh, no. He's never been a Charger.
Okay. Yeah. But that's who it is. So.
Oh, okay. Well, he must really be bad because they keep going with
He's not good.
No. I mean, hell, even to the point they just benched Joe Flacco, who's fifth on this list at 3.3. So even they bitched their guy who was a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So hey, Cincinnati at some point help us out here, like seriously, because some people with Jamar Chase, some people with T. Higgins and Chase Brown, we're just suffering right now. And speaking of Chase Brown, he's the number one running back on this list with 10.1, which is not horrible if you flexing them, but I think people use Chase Brown as their number one running back. So 10.1 ain't really great.
He had a lot of hype going into the season.
Exactly. So him having 10.1 is not a good idea. And then Chuba Hubbard coming in with 9.9. Of course, the Panthers had a rough day in its entirety. Got the quarterback and a running back on this list. Nick Chubb, who got usurped by Woody Marks this week, 8.2. Derrick Henry, of all people, Jesus Christ, 7.8. When the last time Derrick Henry had a 7.8 game in any fashion?
Yeah, I don't know, man. They just didn't even use him. It was crazy.
It was. I don't. Again, it's that whole. We can talk about it later, but there's the whole stigma with the Ravens playing the Chiefs. It's psychological at this point. They get totally out of their character, out of their bag when they play the Chiefs for some reason. I don't know what it is, but they decide they want to be the air raid offense as opposed to running the ball. I don't get it. I understand if the Chiefs got a great run defense. I get it. But it's still Derrick Henry. He can fall forward and get you 5 yards.
Exactly.
So I don't get it. But he's 7.7, number 4 on this list. And Jacory or Bill Krosky married with 7.7 as well. So bad week overall for guys that you probably drafted with pretty good draft capital or picked them up in waivers thinking he'd do something and they just let you down. So yeah, those are your running backs and quarterbacks. So tell us about these wide receivers and tight ends.
Yeah, man. Wide receivers is similar. Like a lot of big names, big time players people took early in drafts, continuing to display just pure ass, week in and week out. Calvin Ridley, starts us off with 5 points, and I know we'll get into this later, but I think it's time to move off of Calvin Ridley if you got him. Then we had Trey Tucker with 4.2. He came back down to earth after his almost 40 burger in week 3. Kayshon Boutte with 2.8, who had a lot of hype after week 1 and has seemed to just go ghost mode in that passing attack. Right. AJ Brown, who knows what's happening there? He got cryptic tweets and all sorts of crap going on now, but he's got 2.7 and just doesn't seem to be involved, or the Eagles just don't seem to need to use him to win games or don't know how to use them. I don't know. And then Ladidi McConkey just continuing to be kind of a disappointment. Although the targets are there, it's just
he dropped 2 good passes on Sunday.
I mean, he's not averaging. He's averaging like 7 targets a game. That's like what he averaged last year. It's just the production is. There's a disconnect there right now, and
I don't know. It's something going on. It was. I wouldn't even say it was the entirety of the season. It was more so the Giants game for some reason. I don't know. Him playing on the East Coast, something was wrong.
Yeah,
because he didn't. He looked like a shell of himself in that game. He just didn't look right. He seemed off in that game. I don't know.
Yeah, but either way, as someone who has McConkey Kong in a couple leagues, he did not help me out with the 2.1 that he displayed. But it is what it is. Then with tight ends, for the amount of good we had a whole lot of bad as well. Cade Otton, might have some expected a decent uptick with Evans being out. And it just was not there with 3.9. And Njoku, I don't know what the hell's happening with him, but it's just part of the abysmal Browns offense at this point. Yeah. But I mean, they're not even like looking his way anymore. It seems like he had 3.1. Mike Gesicki, just total dumpster fire in Cincinnati on all fronts. But 1.8. Chig Okonkwo, who I had a little bit of high hopes for going into this week.
Yeah.
But we're not really seeing any progression with these pass catchers in Tennessee. But he had 1.4, and then I know you got some personal grievances against this last guy, but Tyler Conklin with 1.3, just ugly, and I don't think really needs to be playing anymore at this point or getting any targets
at all. I mean, listen, I get the kick and block and all that good jazz, but I would argue this: throw Will Dissly out there when he's healthy, let him block, and put Oronde Gaskins II on the field at all times.
Just do it.
Let's do it. I'd forget Tyler Conklin. Everybody. It's funny. I saw somebody on Twitter put up his workout video that he had over the offseason, how he was looking all explosive running routes, and it was like he did all that to do nothing in the game. It's bad. It's bad. So yes, Tyler Conklin, yeah, he's persona non grata to us in Charger land for sure. For sure. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Yeah, it's almost like this the necessary roughness guy. Just don't throw it at stone hands. Yeah, just don't throw it to Tyler Conklin.
Yeah.
It's not gonna end well. It's not gonna end well.
Mm-mm.
But the defenses were, again, some big names on here too. Now, one big name on here that really got me good, the Packers with -3. But
Yeah.
the Jets gave you a goose egg. The Niners gave you a goose egg. The Packers gave me -5 in my league, but it was -3 in average of PPR leagues. Carolina Panthers -3. Baltimore Ravens -3. Yeah,
Rough.
so, I mean, just all these teams, except for maybe the Panthers, are known for defense, and they all look like straight trash.
Yeah.
This week is bad.
Yeah. Ravens especially. I
Oh, yeah.
get they're banged up, but even before that, it was a little sus.
They
So
can't stop anybody when they were fully healthy.
Yeah.
So, this is bad altogether.
it's rough.
together.
Yeah. And then kickers, we had a little bit of a mixed bag with that as well, but we did have some abysmal performances. Cameron Dicker
Yeah.
with 5. I
Yeah.
don't even know how to say this guy's name. Smites. We smite
Smite.
him with 4.
Right.
Will Lutz, who is a kicker, a lot of people thought would be producing pretty well from a fantasy perspective this year, has
Tyler
just not
Bass,
been there. With 4 points. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then Evan McPherson, Cincinnati 3, and Ryan Fitzgerald.
Harold,
1
not
point.
Fitzpatrick, Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other Fitz,
Yeah.
giving us fits in the kicking game.
That's
But
a good one.
every
That's a good
week, this making me look bad on the kickers just goes to show you the grossly low floor a kicker can have in any week,
That's
just
facts.
how a game goes. So
You say that again. That's for sure. Ooh. It's
Yeah.
ugliness all the way around. But yeah. So if you had these guys, you probably had a rough week, but we can bounce back. We won't get right for week 5. So let's talk about it. All right. So let's talk about the bye weeks first and foremost. Let's get that out the way. Here is your list of bye weeks. I'll put it up larger for the screen for you. So we're in week 5. So we got 4 teams on buys in this early week. So there's buys from now until week 14, with the exception of week 13. Week 13 doesn't have any buys, but from here until week 14, it's going to be at least 2 teams on a buy. So this week we got the Falcons, we got the Bears, we got the Packers, and the Steelers on buys. So the likes of Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Michael Penix, Caleb Williams, Roma Dunze, Jordan Love, Romeo Dobbs, Tucker Kraft,
Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs, yes indeed. I'm not sure who you have on. Maybe DK Metcalf on the Steelers.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe that and Jalen Warren. That'd be the only two.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah. Although for some reason Calvin Austin seems to be getting targets and catches, sneakily, but I don't trust it. But yeah, so if any guys on those particular teams, you're going to be a buy this week. So we got to find you some Abbott replacements for them in regards to who you're going to play this week. Who's going to be a replacement for those guys. So we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, those are your bye weeks. If you want to pause this video at any point in time, watch it on replay, so you have the whole entire gamut of who's on bye weeks, please do so. So those are your bye week lineups for the season of 2025. All right, so let's talk about the replacements, injury updates, and roster moves. And we talked about this in length at the start of the show, how it's just bad business all the way around with the injuries, right? So we're gonna talk about who's injured, and then we're gonna give you some ideas of who might be, Abbott replacements for them to fill in either for your bye week guys or your injuries. So starting off, we'll talk about the quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, interesting enough, is maybe a 2 to 3 week injury we're talking about right now. He got pulled from the game on Sunday with a hamstring strain, and he might be out for 2 to 3 weeks. He's very unlikely to play this week. So we getting Cooper Rush. The plan for them is if we don't go get from bad to worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing. So Lamar Jackson is likely out. Brock Purdy, who's actually been ruled out as of today. He with a turf toe injury, which is wild because he should have been rushed back as quickly as he was, and then he goes right back out. So he's not playing tomorrow. And of course, Joe Burrow's out, for the extended period of time, but he hasn't been ruled out for the year. So we got till maybe December to make that call. But I would argue he's not going to play this year, in my personal opinion. But so we'll see how things go.
I don't see why they bring. I mean, unless there's an outside chance they could win the North or wild card spot, I don't see any logical reason to bring them back.
I agree. I agree. I know that you won't get tired of looking at Jake Browning's face, but at some point, it's just not worth the squeeze because you're not going anywhere.
I'm just waiting for sweet baby JJ to come back in Minnesota, and then I can dump Browning, forget all about it.
Oh, true that. True that. So yeah. So when that happens, then you'll be better
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. So yeah, we're waiting on that. But Lamar Jackson's not going to play this week. Neither is Brock Purdy, and of course Joe Burrow is completely out for the foreseeable future. All right. So the running backs, Derrick Henry popped up on the injury report this week. I would argue that he's likely going to play, although he limits it with ankle injury. I don't think he practiced today actually, but doesn't seem to be severe. But he might, milk it because Lamar Jackson's not playing. Who knows?
Right.
I don't know what they're going to do in Baltimore. It's a mess. It's a mess. But Nick Chubb got a hamstring. He's limited availability. So it's probably the Woody Marks show. And I would argue that with Mixon being hurt and Chubb kind of banged up, I think Woody Marks is going to steal the show and not give it back. Yeah, look to target Woody Marks if you haven't already, because that's a good pickup. And Miles Sanders with ankle. They're monitoring for week 5, but he's the backup to Javonte Williams. So, so take your expectation with that. But he is on the injury report for that if you haven't been in deeper leagues.
We also have Bucky Irving.
Oh, yes. He
got an injury that they're not. I mean, they have at least acknowledged that he's injured and he's on crutches, and I do not believe practice in any sort of capacity today. But they're not really confirming a timeline on him playing this week or not. But you definitely want to monitor that, as well as just Jaylen Warren coming out of the bye. Because he was, late, early morning scratch.
Right.
No.
Yeah, but I think with a week off because he was a late morning scratch, they just want to be cautionary.
I think. But
yeah, I think by week 6 he'll be fine. That'll be my recommendation. But we'll test that next week when he comes back. But like I said, not really an urgent deal because he's on a bye anyway. So I think that
Trey Benson.
Oh yeah, IR. Yeah, Trey Benson on the IR. Yeah, good one. So yeah, so in that space, we talked about DeMarc Carter earlier because of Andrew's question. But also Rachaad White, obviously. Rachaad White is definitely a good pickup, and he'll be the workhorse. But I've been high on this guy for a while, but he's kind of been the kind of unforgotten man in Tampa Bay because of how Bucky Irving played last year. But Sean Tucker is a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Tucker is a good deeper league pickup as well. So I would look at that as well as Rachaad White if they are available in any capacity. So yeah. Against the wide receivers, we lost 2 big ones this weekend. Really rough news. Malik Neighbors towards ACL, out for the year. Really rough news for that. Tyreek Hill, really gruesome injury, multiple ligament injury, dislocated kneecap, done for the year. Bad news for him. Ricky Pearsall, knee instability. I think they ruled him out completely.
They did
today. As well as Juwan Jennings, they ruled him out as well. So he's on the list. Late news today. Darnell Mooney with a hamstring, minor, but I do believe the Falcons on the bye, so it's kind of a projection, but it's a soft tissue injury, so he could miss multiple weeks. So I would monitor that and maybe get ahead of that if you can, in regards to him being maybe not available for week 6, but we'll see.
We also have Scary T as well. He did not play last week, and he's kind of in the same boat as Jaden Daniels, where they just say that they're trending in the right direction, but aren't really confirming for sure playing week 5. So you definitely want to watch that too.
Right. So yeah. And in addition to that, Scary T, Juwan Jennings are not on the list, are either out or questionable, 50-50 questionable at this point, to play. And ironically enough, the Chargers play the Commanders this week, so that'll be interesting. We can do without Scary. Scary, you can take a week off if you like. We'll be okay.
One more week, get you right.
Just spare yourself. Don't rush yourself back. But yeah, so those are your wide receiver injuries in that space. So tight ends, David Njoku popped up, and I think that might be indicative of them being bad and his lack of production. He's a little bit banged up with a hamstring. Cade Otton limited with a shoulder, but I just don't think they target him anyway, so it doesn't matter. I don't know. It's weird. That they don't, even though he's out there, they don't target him. The Baker's a really wide receiver throwing quarterback. He don't target the tight end. It's just weird.
Yeah, he did a little bit last year, but it was like a flash in the pan,
Right. So I don't know, but yeah, I think that even if he is healthy, he's still not getting a lot of love. The same thing with Mike Gesicki. They're just a mess in Cincinnati, so he's on the injury report too. But I wouldn't worry about that too tough either. If he's your tight end, you might want to just move on in general. So, but yeah, I would say that those three guys. Oh, and Baker Mayfield actually popped up on injury report. Go back to the quarterbacks. He popped up on injury report. I read that before the show. Did you see that news?
Yeah, no, he's been he was banged up last week though too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's just kind of
So
how Baker plays. He's always
he's
got a
just
little Q by his
rough and
name.
rugged, man. It's rough and rugged. That's all you can say.
Yeah.
Rough and rugged. So yeah, so those are your tight ends. And of course, Baker Mayfield's on injury report, so we have to monitor that situation if he's your starter. All right, so getting to the replacements, guys, we feel like they can fill that void for you, in each position that could be targets for you in regards to them being fill-ins for your bye weeks and or your injuries. So we had Jackson Dart, who played solid against the Chargers last week and got his first W, much to my chagrin. Sam Darnold has been playing really well. We poo-pooed on him going to Seattle and thinking we wouldn't turn it around or be as good as he was in Minnesota. Now it's not as pass heavy in Seattle, but he's definitely doing the thing. In regards to him
solid.
He's been solid. So as a super flex quarterback for me, he's been doing me pretty good. So I'm not mad. So Sam Darnold's a good pickup. Tua Tagovailoa is another pickup. He connected with Darren Waller for 2 tutties last week. So he is missing Tyreek Hill. So Malik Washington, who's on this list as well, could be a pickup as well to fill that void for him. But yeah, he's looking pretty solid as long as he stays upright. So Tua could be a short-term or long-term replacement for you. That's for sure. Running backs, we talk about Woody Marks in large space. We like that move. I think it's going to be a good staple for the Texans in their running game. Maybe they just need somebody more dynamic running style to get the run game going in Houston. I don't know. But he looked good. I mean, it's weird. Nick Chubb can't get it going at all. But with the moment Woody Marks getting the lineup in large space, he just looked dynamic. It's weird.
Yeah. Caught a passing touchdown and had a rushing touchdown.
I'm saying.
Pretty good.
I'm saying. So, yeah, Woody Marks is a good pickup. Kendre Miller, we both talked about this. Is rumblings and bumblings that Kamara may be traded, and they're using him less. Maybe not to save him from injury because he might get dealt at some point here before the deadline. So it looks like Kendre Miller's usage is getting picked up. So I think that you can get ahead of that and pick him up now because he is getting targets from out of the backfield and in the running game. So I think Kendre Miller's a good pickup. And Rachaad White, of course, we talked about him earlier. How he's going to be the lead dog for Bucky Irving. Because I honestly think this is just might be a hot take for me, but I think Bucky Irving might be more injured than we think, and he might end up on IR.
Mm-hmm.
So I would get ahead of that and pick up either Sean Tucker or Rachaad White if you can, if you got Bucky Irving in your lineup.
Yeah, it's just never good with those lower, ankle, lower body injuries for a running back because it's just, any sort of lingering could limit ability or capability to play. So it's like even if he wanted to try to play through it, he physically couldn't potentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. If you can get Rachaad White or Sean Tucker, I'd take a flyer just to kind of see how the Bucky situation plays out. And then also we kind of already prefaced it, but Demercado and Michael Carter as well.
Yeah.
With the Trey Benson news.
Indeed. All right. So tell me about his wide receivers and tight ends.
Yeah, man. So wide receivers, we're going to keep noting this guy. You heard me throwing hella shade at Calvin Ridley. Well, Elic Ayomayor has been kind of the go-to guy, whatever that's worth, in the Tennessee passing attack.
Right.
And again, I think I've said this for like 3 weeks now. It's kind of almost insultingly bad just how available he is universally across leagues. Still, still.
Yeah.
So if he's out there, I get him. If you have Calvin Ridley and he's out there, I'd swap him. So you definitely want to watch that. I know it hasn't been too much to write home about, but Buddy's getting his targets. He's getting looks in the red zone. What more can you ask for when you're looking for a replacement other than just sheer opportunity? Darius Slayton, a guy I think I noted in our waiver wire, Tuesday sleeper, but obviously with the Malik Neighbors news, football's got to go somewhere. And Darius Slayton had pretty good stats, in the times that Neighbors was out of the lineup last year. I'm not saying he's Malik Neighbors or he's going to produce Malik Neighbors type numbers for you, but I think he can be a respectable replacement if you're hitting that panic button due to some injuries. And then Malik Washington, sort of the same vein. Tyreek's down, huge part of that offense. Like the targets are going to have to go somewhere. I think might as well take a flyer on Malik Washington. just given the kind of unknown with how Miami's going to develop their offense after losing Tyreek. And then, with the tight ends, sort of the same thing can be said about Darren Waller. You at least saw him produce in that Monday night game. I think if he is healthy, he is going to be a bona fide red zone threat and probably get a lot of red zone looks if Miami gets into that territory. The only pause I have with Waller is, he retired due to injury. He was injured to start the year. It's tough to say he could be your guy for the rest of the year or be Miami's guy for the rest of the year, just because he just kind of has that propensity to get banged up. Dalton Schultz has kind of quietly been seeing a lot of targets as well in Houston. And Britton Strange has somehow has been the only reliable pass catcher for Trevor Lawrence so far in Jacksonville.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting, man. But I would definitely curb my enthusiasm about Darren Waller. When he's on the field, he's dynamic. It's just a question of how long he stays on the field. That's interesting to me. Now, Dalton Schultz is always interesting to me too, because in every, I guess you can say analytic category, people have looking up at Dalton Schultz say he could be the guy. But my problem is that he is always been kind of like the odd man out. Like there's some reason he just never really pops in the Texas offense. Like, he was great with Dallas. And then he comes over to the Texans, and for some reason he just never really, hits that stride with to be a legit number one tight end. But it could be ebbs and flows because he has had one good game this year, but it just his whole body of work always troubles me. I always have angst by taking him, that kind of thing. But I will say this: he does have a good matchup this week. So, but if at least for 1 week, you can at least buy into Dalton Schultz maybe 1 week. I'm not going to give you the whole gambit of the whole season, but at least for 1 week, he has a favorable matchup. So if you're going to target him, this or pick him up in waivers, this should be the week, in my opinion. So, all right. And what about Wan'Dale Robinson? How you been feeling about that pickup? It's all on top of there.
Yeah. And I actually meant to note that, but I mean, either one of those guys. I think if any of them are available, Wan'Dale might not be available because he was kind of a hot waiver wire commodity. I think after week 2. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. If you're looking for replacements, you want to look for where you can get the most opportunity for points, not the most guarantee for points. Because let's be real, like these are guys that were cast-offs at the start of the year. Waiver wire whispers, I believe I called them last week. But you just want to look for who's going to be involved in the offense. I mean, that gives you the best bet for points. And quite honestly, I don't know what Malik Neighbors' target share was, but it had to be pretty close to 20%, if not over that. That percentage has got to go somewhere. So if I can get some feet on the ground in that share and see how it plays out, I'm going to do that.
I agree. Good stuff. All right. So let's move on down the line. Let's talk about our new segment called Stock Up and Stock Down, the rises and fallers. For going into week 5. So guys who are trending upward and you could be high on and be confident in playing them going forward, and guys you might want to move on from, trade and or just put them on your bench for a little while so they get their life together. That's what I really can say.
Right.
So we got our list here of who we feel like is a stock up and stock down candidate. So let's start with stock up. We'll go position by position. Now, I think Dak Prescott, man, after that performance on Sunday night, man, honestly, I had my questions about Brian Schottenheimer's ability to call plays with them, and losing CeeDee Lamb. What can Dak Prescott really do? But he proved a lot to me. Proved a lot to me on Sunday night that he can do it despite, the adversity of losing CeeDee, having a different play caller, O-lineman, fluxes, the run game being inconsistent. He delivered, man, and he's been delivering all season. So if Dak Prescott is upright and he's healthy, I think the stock is up on him. If you got him in your lineup as a backup or whatever case may be, you might want to consider starting him because he might be outscoring your starter at this point. Because I don't think you would draft a high because people felt like it was a lot of question marks. But
yeah,
I do believe at this point Dak Prescott could be a stock up candidate. I think he's trending to the point where he could be every week starter for me.
100%. And just looking at how their games have gone and their defense, he's going to have to produce for them to win games. And there are going to be situations where they got to either come from behind or keep up with the pace. So, yeah, I agree with that on Dak. My QB with a rising stock is Jarake Maye. And no, this is not a personal bias because he's on my, league-sponsored redraft league roster. I think dude is just quietly balling. He's, like I said, quietly been a a very uber productive fantasy QB so far. He leads the league in completion rate, has 7 touchdowns on the season, only thrown 2 picks, and he scored almost 22 points as a rusher, in across the 4 weeks so far. So he has that rushing upside. I think he's kind of getting into his own in that offense and getting more comfortable week in and week out. And I think, has the weapons there to be a pretty reliable fantasy starter for you, as the season goes on.
I like it. All right, for running back for me, I'm in Cam Scatterbo, however you want to call him. I think that they found something in him, and for his patience and his downhill and his ability to break tackles, in that Giants offense is going to be a good safety net for Jackson Dart. So I even think with the Tyrone Tracy injury was a blessing in disguise for him, in unveiling his ability to be an every down back. So I do believe that, seeing a bird's eye view of him playing the Chargers on Sunday, I saw it, firsthand, that I think this guy is going to be a quote unquote stud, in regards to him being a every down running back or every week running back for fantasy football purposes. So if you got a flex position open, dynasty or deeper leagues, man, put Scatterbo in your flex, man. I think you'll be happy because I think he's going to get a lot of looks. I think he's going to get a lot of carries. Hell, he averaged 4.4 yards against us. We've been stingy against running backs up to now. So yeah, I think that his size, his frame, his patience, and that O-line starting to get healthy with Andrew Thomas coming back. I think the Cam Scatterbo is going to be a good one. So I'm going to stock up on him for sure at running back.
Yeah, I just wish Buddy was a little bit faster.
I know, that's the only thing.
There's that one. I was kind of early in the game, but he would have scored that one touchdown if he had just a little, a
little more juice,
a little more juice. Yeah. And then on Madden, he's got 85 speed. Just like,
oh wow, he's definitely a fullback.
Yeah, just plays with a lot of heart.
That's it.
But I agree. I think that was a blessing in disguise for them, and for what he lacks in athletic ability, he makes up for in, I think, just aggressiveness and grit and not quitting. Like what I said that meme around, it said there's 2 different types of white running backs: the cerebral runs like Christian McCaffrey, and then the dudes that eat crayons like Scatterbo, just mash into stuff.
Right.
But yeah, my running back with stock up, is I think it's got to be Omarion Hampton. It's, one, obviously with the injury of Najee, he was thrusted into being RB1. We were kind of down on him early in the year just because they weren't using him. Right. I think similar to the Scatterbo situation, they were forced to use him with Najee.
Right.
So, week 4 was the first week that he was the guy. We saw him produce in the rushing game, rushing attack. But I think what really gave me the evidence to want to say stock up is he was also involved in the passing game. I mean, he had 5 targets overall, had 12 rushes, 128 yards, a touchdown, 5 targets, 5 catches for 37 yards. So, I mean, that's just the kind of production and target share and involvement that would thrust a guy into being your RB1 for the rest of the year, which is not really much competition there to take carries away from him either.
That's true. And like I said, he used a 3-down back. And I will argue that with this influx of injuries on the O-line, I think they're going to try to lean more in our pass protection woes. I think they should and they need to lean more on the heavy run game aspect of the offense. So I think that Omarion Hampton's going to get a lot of touches, a lot of work. So he's going to be a fantasy football gold for you. So I do as a Chargers fan specifically, I definitely agree with that. It's definitely stock up on Omarion Hampton. So if you got him, he's going to be every week starter for you, bar none. Don't take him out your lineup, unless it's a bye week, because he's going to get used. He's going to get used. All right, for wide receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba for me, man. JSN is doing it, man. There were questions about him with Sam Darnold and his ability to be a number 1 wide receiver because he was, void of now DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So he's the number 1 guy in Seattle, and he's doing it. He's producing high numbers, a high target share. He has game-breaking speed, from the outside or the slot. He kind of, he's like a taller version of Emeka Buka to me, where you can put him anywhere, line him up anywhere, and he's going to get it done. So I think with the emergence of Sam Darnold and him seeming to be playing good football, building on his last year's Pro Bowl year, I think that particular connection and his ability to produce is going to be good for JSN. So I like JSN stock, and I think if you got him in your lineup or you think about trading for him or whatever the case may be, if you can get your hands on him and you want to play him, he's going to be a good fit for you week in and week out.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what it is with Ohio State, man, but they can produce some pro-ready wide receivers.
Between them and LSU,
like, maybe, yeah.
I did a poll actually. It was I think it might have been a tie. Who was wide receiver? You OSU or LSU? And it just depends on who you talk to, because Jason Jefferson, JSN, Garrett Wilson,
Neighbors,
Buka, Neighbors, yeah, you just got man. It's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. It is.
It's a lot.
Yeah, but I agree on JSN. He's been balling in Seattle, and then my guy was the stock up who we just kind of talked about inadvertently, maybe, but Wan'Dale Robinson, with the Giants, obviously. Neighbors out for the year. Everyone's focusing on Darius Slayton, probably because he's the only guy available in the waiver wire.
Yep.
But, up to this point of the season so far, Robinson has led. He's tied on the team lead in receptions on the year with 18, tied with Neighbors. So even when Neighbors was out there, he was involved. He's a pretty dynamic playmaker with the ball in his hand. He's a shifty guy. I kind of look at him like he kind of carries the same sort of skill set that Xavier Worthy or a receiver like that would bring, that you just want to get the ball in his hands because you don't know what will happen. Whether that's on some sort of jet sweep or a quick bubble or RPO, he can be electric with the ball in his hands. And like I said, those targets got to be funneled somewhere. Yeah. And we've seen Wan'Dale be the deep threat for them at times too. So I think his stock's up, obviously, just with injury.
Right. Yeah, I share the same sentiment. I think, like I said, the target should got to go somewhere, and Wan'Dale has that more of a game-wrecking and game-breaking speed than versus what Darius Slayton has. So that not only could be a lot more targets for him, but it could go over touchdowns. So I definitely like what Wan'Dale Robinson can bring to that offense, and the more they trust Jackson Dart to throw the ball, the more Wan'Dale is going to look like man fantasy goes. So I definitely think it's stock up there for sure. And my tight end, to his point about Drake May being a stock up, I think his favorite target is Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry just a construction worker, man. He just come to work every day with a hard hat and put some numbers with Drake May in the last 4 to 5 games. So I think that if you got with it being so instability with tight ends, I think we all can agree the tight end position is always a dice roll. It's either really good or really bad. In this space, I think that Hunter Henry has consistent numbers. If you look at the numbers he's put up, either standard league or PPR leagues, up to this point, it's been consistent. I think that you can guarantee to get about 8 or more points out of him per week. And for me, being feast or famine in my tight end positions, pause if needed. I think that if I had Hunter Henry, I would rest easy because I know he's going to give me something every week. So that's why I like his stock being up in this space.
And he gets, I think he gets double-digit targets every game.
Exactly.
So it's
there. It's there.
Yeah. And then my tight end, you see the name. I say it. Yeah, I am ready to be hurt again with Kyle Pitts, but this may finally be the time that you can buy some stock in Kyle Pitts and feel good about it, because we actually do have a little trail of evidence showing the production is at least there right now.
Right.
Obviously coming off his best game with 15.5 points, 70 yards, and a touchdown. But right now he's got almost a 20% target share with 18.5. He's caught at least 4 passes in every game. And, I think has been kind of sneakily solid so far. So if that touchdown production kind of starts becoming a reoccurring thing, Kyle Pitts could very quietly become, top fantasy tight end this year.
Yeah.
But we say that every year. So
we do, but if it ain't now, when is it going to be? If it's now or never, it's right now or never. So last gasp with Kyle Pitts, but he did play well last week, so we got to give him credit for that.
Is this the last year of his contract? Yeah.
Yes.
So
it's
got to be now. If Buddy wants to get paid, or else he's going to sign a 1-year deal with KC next year.
Oh, well, you would love that, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't be mad about it. No.
Indeed. That'd be a hell of a Kelsey replacement for sure. That's crazy.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about who guys we were kind of, writing off, I guess you could say. We kind of stocked down on. For me, it's Lamar Jackson, and I'll be quick about these guys because not much to say. It's really self-explanatory in a lot of spaces, but Lamar Jackson, despite the injury, he hasn't been playing well, in certain spaces, especially against KC. I think they exposed his ability to not do well under pressure in spaces when you can kind of get in his face and not leave him a whole lot of opportunities to escape the pocket. If you run at him with one guy is one thing, but if you kind of rein him in and blitz him up the middle and he has nowhere to go, he doesn't do well with high routes and reads and getting the ball out quick. So I think that that might be a blueprint when he does come back from injury for people to kind of utilize that game plan that Spagnuolo's been using against him for the last several years and kind of limit his production. And if you can do that, everything runs through Lamar in that offense. So if you can limit him, that offense struggles. And clearly, to your point earlier, they're not using Derrick Henry right either. So I think that the Lamar Jackson and the Derrick Henry production for fantasy football might be I won't say a thing of the past, but it might be take a downturn for my money. So I'm definitely stocked down on Lamar Jackson at this point because of the ability to not be to get exposed in this Chiefs game and coming back from an injury. I'm sure for the first 2 or 3 weeks once he comes back, he's not going to be apt to be running the ball because he don't want to re-injure himself. Because hamstrings are tricky. Right. You can tweak it at any point. So he's going to likely be a pocket guy for the most part. They're not going to do a lot of design running and crazy things like that with him until he's fully healthy. So yeah, for the next several weeks, I think it might be stocked down on Lamar Jackson for me.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you, but I have to agree with you. It's just it's not looking good so far. And I mean, schedule is only going to get tougher too. So
exactly, and that division is it's no gimmies with no defenses. So
yeah. But my QB and I promise I was not trying to rain on the Indiana Jones parade, but I think we do have to kind of admit that he's probably not going to be the fantasy superstar QB people thought he might become after the first 2 weeks, because kind of quietly been trending downward after that rather hot 2-week start where he had a rushing touchdown in both of those games. You take out the rushing touchdown component, which he hasn't done these last 2 games. He scored fewer than 16 points in both of those, and he has yet to throw more than 1 touchdown in a game. So, take the passion out of it and just the fact that the team's doing good.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is not really being that, like I said, fantasy superstar QB. I think some people are treating it like, with just the hype around them.
Yeah, that's definitely on point. I think that they're doing well as a team. I don't think Daniel Jones at any facet can carry them to a victory like a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes will you to victory. I don't think that's his bag. So I definitely agree that Daniel Jones is definitely a trade high candidate, or just hold on to him and use him sparingly for my money. Yeah. Running back for Rhamondre Stevenson, for obvious reasons, I think it's getting ready to slowly but surely be the TreVeyon Henderson show. Fumbling problems last year and this year again in crucial moments. I think they're going to lose more and more faith in his ability to be an every down back. So I'm definitely stocked down on him. I think his production and his touches are going to diminish the more TreVeyon Henderson gets acclimated and gets to the point where they feel like he's going to be the big dog in the room. So I'm selling business on Rhamondre Stevenson right now for sure.
Yeah,
and getting off that train before it leaves the station. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, TreVeyon scored a touchdown last week, so I think writing's on the wall to see the uptick start happening pretty soon.
Absolutely.
My guy is, Alvin Kamara, and I know some of this may be obviously with the trade rumors swirling and just them not wanting to, ruin their trade asset or get him hurt, but just the usage has been just abysmal up to this point. I mean, what the thing that made him the most special in fantasy football, with the PPR component, catching passes. I mean, arguably he might be he's definitely one of the best pass catching backs in NFL history.
Oh yeah.
But you look at what he's done this year right now, he's got 49 receiving yards. That's his career low at this point of the year. So you have the PPR aspect has kind of been taken away. And then he's not being efficient when he's getting the ball. I mean, he played Buffalo this last week. Obviously, you're playing Buffalo. Knew it was going to be a little bit of a negative game script, but Buffalo's defense is notoriously bad against the run. I think they were worst in the league going into the game, and he had his second worst outing on the year. And I understand it's only week 4, but defense is only going to get better. So unless he is on to greener pastures, it's not looking good for him. It's just an overall weird situation in New Orleans with him right now and just the usage.
Right. There you go. And my wide receiver is Jamar Chase. For obvious reasons, it is his quarterback is not it. Okay.
Yeah.
I wish for fantasy purposes they would just find another quarterback, trade, do something, go get Joe Milton from the Cowboys. I know they're not going to let you have Shedeur Sanders from the Browns because that's in the division. But somebody got a decent backup that they can part with. Go get them because it's bad. It's bad. You're squandering a whole season knowing that you're not going to have Joe Burrow at least December. I don't get it. But it is the Bengals. That's what we're talking about here. So for my number one overall pick of Jamar Chase, and a lot of people's number one overall pick, it's not looking good. And it seemed to be trending more and more down as the weeks go by. And Browning is Browning. And I'm just sorry to tell people that I'm not sure Jamar Chase is going to be the guy going forward. I think I'm really stuck down on him as well, just on his quarterback alone.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's just not looking good. Not looking good for anyone in Cincinnati.
No, not at all.
But yeah, my guy might have prefaced this a little bit through little sprinkles throughout the show, but got to be Calvin Ridley. Like I said, he has quickly and quietly, maybe not quietly, but quickly become the number 2 guy in his own offense. Despite being a player that had a lot of hype with Cam Ward coming in, the guy who has consistently had 1,000-yard season when he does play, taking the weird gambling suspension year out of it. He's got 1,000 yards every year, but he's just not producing right now, has an injury designation right now, and his season high so far is 4 catches for 57 yards. And you couple that with the fact that he has yet to topple 8 points in a game. And that's in PPR formats, man, when you get half a point just for catching a damn ball. Right. So
SECs get 40 points right in your name.
Like I said, I think he's legitimately droppable right now. If you want to hold off faith just because it's Cam Ward is not really producing either. So, I suppose there is a sliver of hope that as he figures things out, Ridley does too, but the outlook is very dim. Looking at where we're at now.
I agree. And lastly, I talked about this a little bit earlier, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but Dalton Schultz. I just don't think there's consistency. Again, I've used him on this list again because I feel like a lot of people are, in different annals and spaces. If you don't get all your fantasy football advice from us, you go to other places are talking about him as a sleeper, a budding superstar. He could be a breakout candidate. I just don't see it. His ability to be consistent is my problem. CJ Stroud, another one that, like Baker Mayfield, just doesn't target tight ends a lot. They're more wide receiver friendly. So I think that this consistency, maybe you sneak him in for a bye week. But as far as being your lead dog, I'm not convinced. I'm stocked down on Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, whotally agree, man. It's just not good. And then my guy, kind of the same thing. We've already talked about him a bit, but that's David Njoku. Look, 0 red zone targets so far this season, and
that used to be his bag.
Yeah, he led tight ends last year with 11. So they're, like I said, they're not using him, and he's arguably not even the best tight end or top tight end on his team right now. So. Yep. It's tough. I dropped him in the league. I moved off from him. Granted, I dropped him for Jake Ferguson. How he was out there beyond me. But I think kind of like Ridley, I think Njoku's legitimately droppable. If you want to hold out some hope is maybe Dylan Gabriel uses him more, cool. But the outlook's bleak as well.
Yeah, I agree. Harold Fanning Jr. might be the lead dog here in the short order and going forward. So, yeah, David Njoku might be on his way out. That's just my personal opinion. So, yeah. So those are your stock up, stock out, down guys. So, take it for what it's worth. But I do believe that they have some merit in any space to be trending up or trending down for both lists. So, yeah, take it how, take it with a passing fantasy football advice. Let's put it that way. All right. So let's talk about the games of the week. Really quick. What has your eye in regards to what's fantasy gold matchups this week?
Yeah, I'm going to do a little polar opposite this week. I'll tell you the one matchup I think I'm really, really avoiding, and that's the Eagles-Broncos one. I think outside of Saquon, both offenses don't look great. They both have good defenses. I very well could see that being like a 10-7 game or like a 6-3, something. That's just one I if I can.
You know what? I see that being a big Jalen Hurts game because he's gonna be scrambling a lot, trying to keep away from Benito, and he's
Yeah,
gonna be switch pushing a lot. I think so. I
yeah,
think that might be an issue. If you're a Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley owner, that might be good for you. But outside of that, I'm not high on nobody in that game. I'm with you.
yeah.
I'm with you there. That's for sure. Oh yeah, that's a great call. I didn't even think about that being a stay away game. That's
Yeah,
that's
I just, man, like I said, it's crazy to think because I mean, like obviously you're not sitting Saquon Barkley, you're probably not sitting Jalen Hurts, but like if
Mm,
you're looking at playing a Troy Franklin or someone like that, or Dobbins even, or potentially AJ Brown at this point. I
I
mean,
don't
if
know.
if you got a better matchup, I think it's you wouldn't look crazy taking advantage of it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Far as fantasy go for me, I'm looking at Dallas. I talked about Dallas earlier. I'm looking at
Yeah.
them at home, building on that win against the Packers, or a tie, I should say. Tie against the Packers. Back at home again against the Jets. Jets, although their personnel is great on defense, they haven't been great at stopping anybody. I'm looking at Dak and company having a good breakout game. Jake Ferguson, Dak, Brandon Aubrey, if you got him as a kicker, I'm looking at that as being a good one. So I like the Cowboys offense. George Pickens up clearly.
Yeah.
Going against Sauce and whoever else their secondary corner is. I think that since they got a DJ Reed, they kind of been shuffling that, ideology. But yeah, I'm looking at the Cowboys having a good game against the Jets. Of course,
Mhm.
the Jets offense can't seem to sustain anything. From a points perspective, so they're gonna get a lot more opportunities to run offense in Dallas. So I like the Dallas Cowboys going against the Jets this week as well.
Yeah, no, I like that, and honestly, I mean, I like some of the Jets matchups too, just because of how bad Dallas's defense could be as well.
Or yeah, that's
Uh,
what.
I
Yeah,
suppose the low hanging fruit one here is I'm starting any Detroit Lion player I have against the Bengals. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
if the Broncos offense could do what it did on Monday night, just imagine what Detroit's going to do.
Right.
I think Gibbs, Montgomery, they're both feasting. I think you see a touchdown from St. Brown and Jamison Williams. I think Laporta probably does pretty solid. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
starting any and every Detroit Lion I have.
And I think the Bengals give up a lot of points to tight end, so this might be a Laporta breakout game. Did you say that?
Yeah.
Okay. With the turn of events going on in San Fran and the Rams at home, I'm looking at any Rams players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, Puka, Devontae, Kyron, even Blake Corum, of course, Matt Stafford. Yeah, I'm looking at any Rams players. Now there's another game I would stay away from, but clearly is not. You don't probably need a lot of convincing. What the hell was the Browns thinking starting Dylan Gabriel against Brian Flores' defense in an overseas game? Like, what was that?
Yeah. Crazy. Blows my mind. I don't know, but it's
That's insanity. You want to get one of the better defensive coordinators in the league, one of the better defenses in the league, in an overseas game. You're going to give this kid his first NFL start. That's a recipe for disaster. That's setting him up for failure. I'm sorry.
and you announce it on Wednesday. Like,
Yeah, so everybody knows it's not a secret. They didn't wait till Friday.
Yeah.
It's not a secret. That's insanity. That's
It
insanity.
is. I don't feel good about it.
No,
On top of that, Tillman's out.
Yeah.
It's not feeling great, man.
Not feeling great about that at all. So, ironically enough, too, I mean, clearly, with the Bengals, Jahmyr Gibbs going against the Bengals, that's money. But we forgot to list him in the Detroit matchup because I think he's going to have a good game as well. But
Mm-hmm.
now that the Ravens likely not going to have Lamar, Houston Texas because they have a good one in
Mhm.
Baltimore. That's an interesting matchup as well.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree because they kind of picked up steam last week. Ravens
Yeah.
can't stop water right now. They can't do anything, man.
right.
It's just and they're already banged up. Yeah, I feel good about that game starting Texans players. I'm trying to think of another one here that looks decently solid in terms of both ways. But honestly, we got some bad matchups too that just like you don't know. I don't know what to make of them. Like Tennessee and Arizona. I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
what's gonna happen with
yeah,
that. Like Giants and Saints. I don't know what I'd like to think I know what happened in that, but I don't. Especially with
yeah,
neighbors
yeah.
out. It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. And ironically enough, you look at the Bills Patriots game, I think that's going to be a tough one because of the divisional matchup.
Yeah.
They are in Buffalo, but still, I believe that the Patriots are going to give them a game. So I think that's going to be a interesting matchup on Sunday night. So I'm looking at that like, and with the Chiefs being going against the Jaguars, I think that the Jaguars being the a heady defensive team, ironically, with all those takeaways, that could be an interesting matchup too. So that's not a give me that they're going to show out in that matchup either. So yeah,
No, I
this
think
is another interesting one.
that will be a tough one, unless Spags can just get in T-Law's head early
Yeah,
and often.
then that'll turn the matchup for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree there. Okay, so yeah, those are the matchups for this week. Some interesting ones. So we highlighted the ones that you should stay away from, and when you should go all in on Chiefs in the middle of the table. So we'll see how it goes, man. But it should be a good week. All right, so let's wrap up the show with our perfect lineup. We do our perfect lineup matchup each and every week. We give you a kind of a best ball feel of guys that we feel like are going to do well in each position. We'll give you a full fantasy football lineup worth of guys that we think they're going to show out this week. So for my lineup, really quick, Josh Allen against the Patriots. I think he always has a good game against them, win, lose, or draw. So I think that he's going to do Josh Allen-like things at home. So I think that even if he does lose, which some people have him predicting to lose their first game against the Patriots, which is ironic, I think that he's still going to have a good game. Jahmyr Gibbs against the Bengals, obviously. I like that matchup. I think he's going to have a good breakout game there. Devon Achane against the Panthers because they can't seem to stop a cold either. With antihistamine. So, I think that's going to be a good one. Nico Collins, if he plays, he did kind of show up on the injury report this week, today, ironically. But assuming he plays, I think he's going to have a good game against the Ravens because their secondary is banged up. Quentin Johnston, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid now. I'm finally drinking the Kool-Aid with their secondary being shaky. Lattimore and company can't seem to stop nobody in the pass game. So I'm buying Quentin Johnston as being a fantasy guy for this week. Jake Ferguson at tight end versus the Jets. I think he's going to have a good one. Cam Scatterbo, who I talked about earlier, should have a good game against the Saints. Brandon Aubrey versus the Jets kicking, and Detroit Lions against the Bengals as a defense. So, yeah, if any of those guys in your lineup, I think you have a really good week. And if that's your whole lineup, my God, if you don't get a win, you're not trying.
Yeah, you'll score 180 points.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the Real AG's lineup for this week is an interesting one as well.
Oh yeah, I got a little spicy one. Some spicy takes here, but yeah, obviously talking about praising the Detroit Lions Cincinnati Bengals matchup. You could probably guess that I was gonna put Jared Goff as my perfect QB for this week. Even though he does, I tried to kind of look up his injury designated, at least on the apps. They're not saying that there's any sort of question mark around Henry for this week. So I think if he plays and Lamar's out, I mean, that's why do you have Derrick Henry if you don't give him 20 plus carries in a game like that, especially against the Texans. So I think Derrick Henry performs pretty well if he is playing. Breece Hall, I think, will do pretty solid against the Cowboys, especially with the Braylon Allen injury. I mean, he's been the guy. He's going to continue to be the guy, and Cowboys have given up a lot of points to running back so far this year. So I expect him to do pretty well. Amon-Ra St. Brown, come on, you guys should know at this point. I like to stack bundle in these things.
Stack bundle.
But I mean, he's gonna double down what he did in Week 4 against the Bengals, if and then some. And then getting into a little bit of the spiciness here, you know. We got a lot of banged up receivers first and foremost, so it's kind of, it's kind of a mixed bag and guys that have chances to pop off. But I got Stephon Diggs, man. Finally came around a little bit this last week. Yeah. He's playing Buffalo, and he's psycho enough to take it really personal and make it some type of revenge game. And so, I think he is going to pop off against Buffalo and have some wacky post-game interview about how they wanted to move on from him, and he still got it, something like that. But yeah, that's purely based off emotion and just him kind of getting involved. But I like Stephon.
I like it though. I think that's a really good take. I think Stephon Diggs might be the sneaky one. If he pops up on the best performance next week, it won't be by accident. Yeah, I like that.
And someone dropped him in our league. I picked him up. So
smart man.
I was like, what? Trey McBride against the Titans. I mean, I think that's he's been producing pretty solidly, just hasn't caught a touchdown yet, but I think that will start coming around. And then this one may have been a little bit of low-hanging fruit, but I'm going with Jalen Waddle. We obviously got Tyreek out. They're playing the Panthers. I mean, Miami is. I mean, they're gonna go out. They're gonna continue to throw the ball and do what they do in Mike McDaniel's offense. And I mean, that's why they got a guy like Jalen Waddle, knowing they had Tyreek Hill, to have not only that pairing, but no, you kind of have a 1B if something happens. So,
Right.
you know, and Waddle has actually produced in situations when Hill's been out and he's had to carry a larger workload. So I think he does pretty well against the Panthers. My defense, you took my Lions one. I wanted to double down on Detroit, but can't do that. So, you know, we're going. Hey, and this was before the Gabriel news. So I was already feeling good about it. Brian Flores is a menace.
Yes.
And going against the Browns, and we got Dylan Gabriel. I'm feeling good about that. Hey, man, Dustin. Hey, Diggs he's going to make it a personal matchup, like I just said.
Revenge
game.
Yeah.
For the BBL boy. You got to be eating.
Oh, that's funny. The BBL boy. That's hilarious.
And then rounded out with the kicker, I got Jason Myers, who's kind of quietly been pretty solid kicker so far this year. I feel like anytime someone plays the Bucs, their kicker pops off because their defense is kind of stingy enough to force a lot of field goals. So I'm riding with Jason Myers.
I like it. All right. So if you got any of these guys in your lineup this week, I think you have a good week, man. So please come back and tell us next week's show how they did, and if we gave you some good blessing advice to get your fantasy football win this week. So yes, indeed. All right, man. So that's going to do it for our show and our content this week. We will always leave a few minutes at the end of the show for any questions that people might have in the chat. So if you're in the chat right now, if you're watching us live, please, if you have any questions, drop us a line in the chat. We'll answer for you right here, right now. If you're looking for us after the show, of course, we have our social media platforms you can reach out to us on. Lightning Fast FF across all platforms, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even Gmail. Hit us up in any of those platforms. Drop us your questions, any things you want to ask about the channel. Please, feel free to get those out. If you want to call us and leave us a voicemail on a hotline number is at the bottom of the screen. If you listen to this and you're not watching this visually, it is 240-249-2220. Once again, it is 240-249-2220. Drop us a voicemail and we'll get back to you in short order. Please let us know how we can reach back to you, and we'll get that answer to you and get you right for week 5, man. So we're going to get things rolling. Oh, that's the same question we had a little bit earlier. So,
man. I think if you got to go with one of them, and I'm riding with it in one league, but I'm going DeMercado, man. He's already kind of shown the PPR upside.
Yep.
And I think he's going to be given every opportunity to lose, being the focal point in the offense. I think Michael Carter is the change of pace guy, and the kind of carry some of the load, but he's not going to be the guy.
Right. And I think Michael Carter is more of a power back, and I think he can be used in more short yardage time frames. And I think Mercado can be used in any stretch. He can use more short yardage, passing, out of the backfield, clearly first and second down carries, things of that nature. So I think he's an every down back. He's a 3-down guy. But Michael Carter will get some time and get some touches because he's going to need a blow at some point. He's going to need some rest. Pause. Yeah, pause.
Oh.
But yeah, if Mercado is going to come out the game for any stretch, I definitely believe that you should go with DeMercado, and then Michael Carter's more of a deeper pick.
I'm rolling Woody, brother.
Oh yeah. No, we definitely rode him with Woody because I would argue that they're going to run the ball a lot.
And Ravens, they can't stop.
You can't stop a code with the Ed histamine.
The Ravens let Isaiah Pacheco look somewhat decent. So, I mean,
I should tell you.
That's all you need to know right there. Come on.
The teams that don't run the ball, they run the ball well against the Ravens. I would argue that they're going to run the ball well against the Texans. The Texans will run the ball against the Ravens well. So I definitely think that Woody's your number one guy or a flex option. And DeMercado is more of a deeper league pickup or of an injury pickup if you have to do that. But I start DeMartin.
Probably not.
Let me verify the matchup, but I don't think so. I'm thinking we'll go with no.
I would only say because Pittman he's getting uber targets, man. So it's just like it's just the touchdowns aren't there.
And he's going against the Raiders. Pittman's going against the Raiders, so he's going to have fun.
Yeah, he's going to be all right.
They're playing in Vegas, but I think that Pittman has a better day than DeMercado does.
Yeah, and let's not forget, Geno Smith likes to give a few bonus possessions to the other team. So
agreed. Yes.
Here we had one a little earlier, Coach. I'm just curious, from a dynasty perspective, who's a college guy you're really high on for next year?
I'm not right now because everybody was talking about the draft class. I would say it's a bunch of defenders I got my eye on, but clearly they don't apply to fantasy. As far as offensive players right now, it's not a lot out there. Right now, and the quarterbacks are that were highly touted going into the season are playing terrible in the large space. So it's not a lot right now. I think we gotta have to really do our homework this year, in regards to what the fantasy pickups are going to be for rookies next year, because nobody's really popping off, and the only person that's really got any buzz is not even eligible. It's Jeremiah Smith. He's not even eligible for another year. So yeah, I'm really would have to do some homework in regards to the rookies this year. Of course, we do our coverage on draft picks, throughout this off season anyway. So we'll be covering it, but it's going to be a really analytical style off season, because we're going to have to really get into the weeds and see who can be a fantasy football stud for a rookie next year.
Yeah. I think the only guy I'm really, really big on, and I wouldn't say it's not like he's emerging because he was already there, but Jeremiah Love, man, with Notre Dame. I think that guy's going to be a special running back in the NFL.
Yeah.
So,
it's so saturated with running back, especially with the class we got this year. It's going to be tough, because think about it like this: a lot of guys we were high on outside of Judkins and Hampton and Jency, they are second or third on the depth chart now. So what's going to be like for a guy coming in this year? He's going to be the number one guy regardless. That's the only thing they're questioning me about running backs. I think wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks are the premium positions coming out of college that could hit right away, if they're going to start right away if they draft the high. But running backs scare me because, again, we've been high on we were high on Trey Benson coming out. He really hadn't popped off yet because he's behind a number one guy. Marshawn Lloyd can't stay healthy. There's a few other guys that they're on the list there from a running back perspective that I would take in the second and third round. I wouldn't spend a first round draft pick on them for sure.
Yeah, I would. And I would also preface, some of this too is like you got to see where they end up, because
the landing spot matters. Absolutely,
100%. But yeah, dude. And then, hey, old Dustin, man, you don't got to apologize. We appreciate all the questions. Appreciate you being new to the channel. We'd answer more if you had them. I mean, I wouldn't sit here all night, but I'd sit here for most of the night if you needed it.
Indeed. But like I said, if you need us in any other, aspects of time frames, hit us up on socials, hit us up on our hotline, email us, do whatever you need to do, drop a comment in on the channel. We'll get back to you. So if you have any questions that you don't think of now, that you think of later, hit us up, man. We'll be here for you. That's for sure.
And then let me also just put a little testament to just kind of give a shout out to just how more competitive fantasy football has been developed into, because I think you look at like 5 years ago, a guy like Woody Marks, who was a day 3 draft pick, buried on his own team's depth chart, would have had no business being rostered at any point up until today. And he was I think he was available in one of my 9 leagues. Some of them were dynasty, sure. You take those 3 dynasty leagues out, he was still only available in one redraft league. So fantasy managers, man, they're evolving, bro.
They're listening. They're listening to what we give, what we advice wise. So this is our 3rd year doing this. So I think that they've been paying attention to what we've been putting down. I think that's a testament to us. So yeah. So shout out to y'all for for supporting the channel, man, and we're gonna keep doing this thing big. As always, we go live each and every week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this channel. Follow us on social, follow us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button as always to let the YouTube algorithm know we're doing big things out there, so you never miss an upload for our channel. We do shorts throughout the week on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we go live on Wednesday. So between all of that content, if you can't get right, you ain't trying. So as always, man, hit us up on social, do what you got to do as far as getting your information out there. And between me and the Real AG, we'll be right there for you. But that's gonna wrap it up for this week, man. You get any parting words before we get out of here?
No, sir. I'll say what I say every week, brother. I hope everyone has a solid, productive, exciting fantasy week, unless I'm playing you.
Indeed. All right, man. So that's gonna do it for us, man. We'll be back next week, and if you got any questions, hit us up. But in the meantime, between time, you always got to remember to step up and lock it down.